Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back. If you're new to me, I am Shu Allegra, the founder of Grace and Hope Consulting, where we empower people to achieve mental and emotional wellness, reach their full potential, and live fulfilling lives. Everything we do here evolves around resilience, from a coaching or counseling or consulting or training or courses. Everything we do here, even the books we write and publish are all evolve around resilience. But this year, I'm inviting more friends to the conversation, as new and old friends, to come and kind of share their stories of resilience. But as they share, also to drop some nuggets of wisdom so that we can glean those on our own journeys as well. So today I have a new friend with me. Cara, would you mind just introducing yourself?
Yes, hi, Shu. Hi, nice to be here. It's nice to see your face and hear your voice. My name is Cara Adams, and I live in Florida on the sunny Space Coast. It's a very special place to live because not only is it a beach community, but we just have the privilege of seeing rockets go off every week. You just step outside and there's a fireball climbing the sky. So
Wow.
it's a pretty special place to live. So being near NASA and SpaceX. Anyway,
Awesome.
I have over 20 years experience as being a teacher. And I currently teach others to be teachers online. I'm a director of a small preschool at this moment. And I'm also a mother of an amazing little girl in that preschool. And she and we lead a mother-daughter Bible study, which it's really amazing and rewarding to do. Let's see, what else do? I teach Bible lessons online to Pakistan. I lead a women's Bible group, and now I'm a newly published children's author. So I do many things that center around children's faith and education.
Oh, love it, love it, love it.
Yeah.
Wow. And I have to say, that's a very, very special community. I'm sure I have 3 kids, and my 2 younger ones, my boys are 10 and 8. They would love to live somewhere where they can see rockets going off every week. Like,
Yeah.
why are we not there yet? Right. So, wow,
Right.
that's amazing. But thank you so much for all that you do. And that's a lot of hats, but I love how you kind of brought it up towards the end there. Your last statement, it's like you do a lot of things that center around children's, education and faith. That, it's so important for all of us, to kind of always to think about the next generation, but also think about when we nurture, the younger ones, we're building up a foundation, a structure that's solid for generations to come, right? And so that's amazing. So just curious, how did you get into this work?
Okay, well, that's a great story. I was a teacher for 20 years and in the classroom, or about 20 years or so. And then I became a mother in my 40s, later in life, and didn't want to teach anymore full time. But God just showed me that there was a plan for me to be a mother and a teacher, and also have a ministry, all intertwined. And it has just been an incredible, incredible blessing. Yeah. So really, I just obeyed. I just listened. I just fell into place of whatever he put in front of me, and I said yes, and I said yes, and I said yes. So it came to me.
Also, you speak my language. I love the old hymn, trust and obey, right? And my
Yes.
story is kind of similar, where God just puts things in front of me. I say yes to it, and then he opens something else and is yes to that, and then yes to them. Before I know, I'm like, how did I get here, right? It's all these things that just happen. But the beauty in that, what you're sharing, is that when a transition came, often people are like, oh, this, now I'm a mom, now I have to choose between this or that. And something that God has done in my own life, and I've been teaching a lot of women, it's like at the end of the day, it's not this or that. It could be this and that, right? You can be a mom and still pursue your calling. You can be a mom and still pursue your profession. And it's not, and I know there's a whole big movement about like, oh, you can be all things, do all the things. And I think it's not really to that level where you have to do everything that's out there and stress yourself out, because as mom, there's so many things we have to do already, right? That's not the point. The point is, do you know who you are outside of the roles that you have? Because when I know who I am, then I just operate in the identity.
Yes.
And everything just flows naturally. It doesn't feel like work, right? Hence the saying, like when you do what you love, it doesn't feel like work at all. Right? It just whether it's parenting, yes, it is, you're gonna be tired, you need to rest, but it just flows out of you and becomes an extension of who you are. And you cannot imagine not doing that. Life will not be meaningful if you don't do those things that you're called to do. Those things, no, it just can live out of, of your, of your identity, live out of those callings inside of you. So that's,
It's amazing. It's amazing. And I wish it for everybody. I wish it for everybody. I feel bad for the people who don't have something that they love like that,
Yeah. And that keeps us going too. I think,
Yes,
the entrepreneur women that I work with, once you know who you are, you know what your calling is, life will happen, right? It's marriage, for some of us, divorce, and then single parenting, and then illnesses, and things just happen. Grief, you might lose loved ones, you might have to move to a different area. Like, there's all this transition that happen for life. You get a job, you lose a job, and some of them are disappointing. Some of them bring grief, some of them bring sorrow and anxiety and all these different things. But when you have something that's meaningful that you're pursuing, right, it keeps you going. It helps you
absolutely.
build that resilience. And
Yes.
so if you don't mind, just there's kind of piggyback on that a little bit, if you might, and share your own story, like how as life has evolved, where from all the things you're doing, how have you been able to keep moving forward? How does your calling and the gifts that you have inside of you have kind of laid that path for you?
Wonderful, wonderful way to put that. And yes, I'd like to talk about resilience in two parts. First, of how it's my own journey in resilience, and then also how I teach it with my students and with the children, because a big part of that I get to pass on.
Exactly.
So, one of the keys of resilience, I think, is preparing for it, preparing to be resilient, and not just being like, woo, something's just a big life change, and then you've got to find your way to climb out of it, but just preparing for it now. So, for me, it's personally realigning with God's will. Because like we said, if we have that purpose to go, and for me, it is to do God's will. And so we encounter all those setbacks and situations, that could potentially push us out of God's will if we allow it. But this could be rejection, loss, failure, illness, tragedy, all of those things. But, the Bible tells us to count them all joy. And we are running that race with endurance. And in fact, we really don't ask for the trial to go away, but just for more endurance to handle it. I was listening to a pastor, Clay Scroggins, in North Point in the Atlanta area, and he said he calls resilience redirecting our response to those setbacks. Yeah, right.
Redirecting the response. Wow.
To those setbacks or situations, and that not that we have to look inward to try to do it, but upward. And when Jesus was in the river in Matthew, and he was in the river and he was being baptized by John the Baptizer, and the Holy Spirit descended on him, and we hear a voice from heaven that said, "This is my beloved Son, whom I love and I'm well pleased." He knew who he was. You mentioned that a minute ago, he knew who he was, his identity. And that gave him the strength to deal with the worst rejections and the worst setbacks, and just that gave him he knew who he was, and he was able to just be resilient for his entire ministry, because that happened before his ministry. Right. And knowing who I am in God, that gives me the strength to face any rejection and setbacks and that kind of thing. So when I was younger, I used to try to find resiliency within. I mean, when I had my first heartbreaks, any kind of falling out I had, like in my teenager and college years, like any kind of falling out, or some guy dumped me, or I failed at this endeavor, I was reinventing myself. I'd get a makeover, I'd change my hair, I'd change my handwriting, I'd change my voice, whatever I could do to reinvent myself. And it was exhausting. It is exhausting to try to reinvent yourself all on your own. And that is when, and then I got divorced in my early 20s, and that I didn't have any strength to bounce back at this point. There was just nothing else that I could do. This was the biggest low point for me, and finding the resilience on my own to do that, I couldn't. And that's when I met Jesus, and my life has changed forever.
You met the best man ever, and he changed everything.
Yeah, it changed forever. And I was so angry. I was so empty. I didn't know what I was going to do until I met him and realigned my life with him. And I've been staying close to him ever since. I should have never married that person. I should have never made some of those choices that I did back then. So that's where I'm talking about. But one of the things about resilience is preparing for it. And I was living this black and white photo when I could have been living in an HD color video movie, you know, Hollywood production.
The big shebang, right?
Yeah. His plans are perfect, you know, his plans are perfect for us, you know. And I met a woman who her husband and her children, 3 children, they all died in a car accident. Wow. And on the way to school. So she lost her whole family. And her attitude was, I couldn't understand her peace. And I knew that if ever I was going to have some kind of tragedy, that I also wanted to have this kind of peace, that everything was going to be okay. You know, yeah, that she was sad, she mourned, but we just don't stay sad. We're going to be resilient. We're going to be bounced back because we're going to realign with what God wants for our life. He's going to tell us what to do next, and he's going to give us the strength. So for me, fast forward to 2020, when we had COVID and then the quarantines and everything, I was definitely so at peace. I was not really worried about, I don't know about you, but I wasn't too worried about the pandemic. I knew this was going to pass and that we would be resilient as a nation and as a world, and we were going to heal from it. And then a few months later, I got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Wow. And yeah, and I was going to need 6 months of chemo and everything. And I was like, okay, here's my opportunity. This is an opportunity. I looked at it as an opportunity and not a setback. I am going to do something with this time. I am going to do something to glorify God. And I'm not going to just be depressed the way I might have been years and years ago. It's going to be okay. I'm going to bounce back. I have the Lord no matter what happens. If I lost my whole family in a car accident, or if I had chemotherapy, I still have the Lord, and he still has plans for me, and he still is perfect, and he's still in control. And, you know, he's going to get behind the wheel, which he did. So I always wanted to write a book, a children's book. And I was able to write it and publish it while I was in treatment. And it's all about God. So it was just one of those things. And now I'm in remission. So thank you. And I was just, you know what I wanted to mention is that there were still my feelings. Like I still had fears and I still was worried about it and everything. And I think that's okay. You still have to let yourself feel those feelings. It wasn't like I was like, oh, okay, cancer, yay. But you still have those things, but you just don't let yourself fall apart. And Jesus, every time he was overwhelmed, he got alone with the Lord, and he went off and found a place to pray. And that's what you do. You stay close to God. You have your feelings, you get off and pray, and you have a support. You got to have your support group. You got to have your church, your family. You can't just do this by yourself. Yeah. So I had so many people around me that were pouring out their love to me. And it was just an overwhelming, amazing experience because of that alone, even just the amount of love that I received from all of those people. So again, it goes back to that prevention type of approach I'm talking about with resilience is have your people, have your people in place
before the crisis happened, right? Yeah. Build that support system before you're in need of one. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so for years as a teacher, I taught mostly kids with, mostly children with emotional and behavioral disabilities. So I spent a lot of my day helping them to be resilient because they would have their breakdowns about all kinds of things all the time, and there's the ones they would try something a couple times and then they would give up and they can't do it. They were so afraid of failure that they wouldn't even try. And then there's the other ones that were like so traumatized by whatever experience that they've had in their life, their little childhood traumas, that then they were tough. They were bullies, had the oppositional defiance disorders, like this guy is green, and it doesn't matter what you say.
What you say, right?
Yeah, they have like the opposite of resiliency. They can't be, they will not be set back. They will not be wrong, but they both needed to learn resiliency in different ways.
Right,
so some of the things that I would do with them, well, Winston Churchill says that, or did say that resiliency or success is just moving from failure to failure. So we have to teach the children how to fail. I mean, teachers, we have to teach them how to fail, because we are just in this quickly moving society that trying, and things are easy and things are comfortable. So it's very difficult to teach children that they have to try and try and try and try and try before we get something. So, and Tavis Smiley has a book called Fail Up. And if you're familiar with the growth mindset, you know, we're teaching the children to fail up, to fail forward. And some of the ways that I would do that is like, well, I teach mostly young children. So maybe I give them a color page, and okay, you have to, everybody just scribble all over this page. Nobody color inside the lines, because believe it or not, that's something that children have meltdowns all about. They, you know, can't color inside the lines. So we're going to scribble all over this page, or we're going to have a race and the slowest person wins, because there's always somebody that was getting upset that they're not the fastest one as well. And so they don't, so they quit, they give up. So we're teaching them that resilience, and we just celebrate every little progression. And we celebrate, even if they make a mistake, high five, good job, you tried. And we just celebrate every little progress they have for these young minds, because they don't have the skills to be resilient on their own, and they don't want to try. So we have to really be heavy on the trying with them, and rewarding every little success with them.
Yeah.
And I do a lot of these things with my daughter. She's 4, but I also get to talk to her about faith all the time. So it's very, I'm blessed in that way. And you know what, she is so thankful. And that's another thing that with resilience is, if you practice gratitude, if you can help your children be thankful about everything, and you can find your way to be thankful about everything all the time, even the sheets on your bed, or the comb in your bathroom, or the air that you're breathing today, you know, if you can find a lot more ways to be grateful, then it's not such a crisis when these bad setbacks happen to us and stuff. So that, again, it's a part of that prevention process of being grateful.
Yeah. Oh, such wisdom in that. And for those people listening or watching, you probably heard some of the things we talk. Gratitude is such a big part of resilience, right? But just some of the things you said, just going to pull back from there. One is looking at challenges, looking at adversity as an opportunity. And not backing out like, oh, this came, I'm going to pull away, And I think about, yes, for children, but even for adults, I think for all of us, is that when challenges happen, like, what is the opportunity here? Well, you took the time, you got a cancer diagnosis, and you took that time to focus and, and write a book and publish it, going for chemo. That's huge. That's huge. Because most people are like, what can I do with this? I'm done. Even same thing with pandemic. When COVID first happened, like, well, we're done, we just don't do anything. But again, you see it as an opportunity to start doing things, things that you are putting on your to-do list forever. You got to take the back burner, and now you can bring those dreams back to life. My first book I wrote after stroke, like I coming literally out of the hospital, couldn't talk, couldn't walk, and I had all these journal entries in my computer. I just started editing and revising them, and then writing some more, and it became a devotional. So yeah, what is the opportunity in your adversity?
Yes.
What is the opportunity in your adversity? And I also love how you mentioned, it's giving others, children, adults, all of us, opportunities to fail. And if we even redefine failure, I don't think there's such a thing as failure, right? We're always learning. It's a new attempt at learning. You're learning something new. You tweak, and then you try it again. So if you look at it that way, so you're never failing, you're just growing. You're just discovering, what you can do better, and then you're looking. It's an opportunity to learn, and so you want more of those opportunities, because the more I learn, the more I can grow. Right. So then we shouldn't be afraid of adversity, because it's an opportunity. We shouldn't be afraid of failure, because it's an opportunity to learn and grow.
Exactly. Right. There's something to learn. There's a message in the mess. There's something to learn. Push through, climb out with your gratitude. And yeah, realign yourself with God. What plan does he have? What are you getting out of here on the other side?
Yeah, for this season, right? Oh, thank
For
you
this
so
season,
much.
yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you
much for
so much.
sharing. So I'm thinking like now I want to know where people can get your book, right? And maybe there's other ways that people can connect with you, follow you, support you, let us know.
Absolutely. Well, I have the easiest is my web page is Cara-Adams, Cara with a C, -Adams.org. And all my social media is on there, my Twitter, my Instagram, my Facebook. The book that I wrote is called If God Was a Kid in Your Class. And
Love it. Love that title already.
And you can get that on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles, Books A Million, all the booksellers, and also from the webpage, of course. If you live in the Space Coast area, I've been touring churches and schools and reading my book and talking to the children. So if you live in the Space Coast area, especially if you're a church or a school, I would love to come visit and read to the children.
Awesome.
So look me up.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for all that you do. I love that title. I love that title.
Well, what a privilege it has been to talk with you. You're so accomplished in your field. So I'm looking at a mentor here.
Only by
Awesome.
God's grace, right? I pretty much, turn every adversity into opportunity, like literally.
Yes.
When I first started, I used to joke, oh, when you turn stumbling blocks into stepping stones you find during the journey, and then we put that in the website, and then I didn't realize that 6 years later I'll keep having to kick a lot of stepping stone, lot of stumbling blocks and turn them into stepping stone. It's been such a journey of resilience, and I actually, speaking of books, so just a month ago is January 30th, I believe, was when we released Be Resilient. It's a collection of stories, and actually there's a whole workbook at the end, stories, strategies, and tools to help you rise above your circumstances. So I opened the book with that chapter, and literally my chapter is titled Beauty to Ashes, one woman, fun purpose, pain. It's like every little thing that came my way, God has been repurposing and recycling it for this. I do, I do all that I do in my field because I've been there and needed that. And it just became this evolving, I don't know, journey, not just resilience, but journey of opportunity. Adversity, yes, but opportunity, each adversity turned into opportunity. Now it can be a blessing to many, not just to me.
Yes.
Yeah. So again,
wonderful.
when we say yes to God, it opens more doors. And it's been a wild ride, but one that I will, I cannot imagine not doing what I do.
He puts you on an
I get
adventure.
depressed when I don't do what I do. Like, just being real, knowing who you are, knowing your calling and your talent. When you're not operating in that way, it creates depression.
Yes.
Because there's a gap between your reality and your reality might be down here, and then your vision is up here. That gap there creates that disappointment that can create grief, that can create depression. And yeah, it's the things that we can work on. So anyone listening, if you're struggling to know who you are, whose you are, and what you're here to do, please connect with me. But I also encourage you, go check out Cara's website. We'll put the link there, connect with her. And even for more things, I'm thinking, I know you said about, if there are people in Florida, you can go to school and churches, but now with, technology, you can access more churches and schools virtually. So I'll put the offer there for everybody. I'm volunteering her. So, if you are part of a church, part of a school, she has a great message to inspire and empower young minds and mature minds as well. So please connect with her, and thank you, Cara, for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks for letting God's light shine for you. It's an honor to know you.
Awesome. Well, you have a great weekend.
Thank you. God bless.
God bless. Bye-bye.